Greetings and welcome to Growth Hacking Show. I'm your host Muhammad Siddique from Atlanta, Georgia. And today we are having a conversation with the founder and CEO of BetterCapital.us, Bobby Sharma from San Francisco. Please join me to give a warm welcome to our guest, Bobby Sharma. Bobby, welcome.
Well, thank you, Mohammed. A pleasure to be on your show. Pleasure to call you a friend, and thank you for letting me share my story.
Absolutely. So you mentioned about story, and let me start with this. Where were you? What happened? Who you were surrounded with that inspired you to get started with the Better Capital?
Yeah. So I'm a long time real estate investor. So I started investing when I was 24 in real estate, and then took a little break. But about 10 years ago, I was here in Silicon Valley, and I saw the real estate prices drop. So I was able to fortunately pick up assets, some real estate assets at a discount. But then, as the assets grew and the number of assets grew, it was getting harder and harder to track the assets. Right? How are the assets performing? Where are my documents? Where's my insurance? Where's my tax document? Where's my lease? All the property management agreements and so on and so forth. So what I did was I tried to organize all that information into one place. It's called bettercapital.us, and it's for real estate investors to enter the data but actually more importantly to track the performance of your assets, right? So sometimes we buy something but we don't know how well it's doing, so we want to quantify the performance of your assets. So that's what we're doing.
Excellent. So, how big is this like a community of who in real estate
Yeah,
investors who want
yeah,
to monitor
yeah.
that? How big? How many investors are using this already?
Yeah, so we at this point we are what's called a startup. We are a Silicon Valley startup. You can say we're in kind of stealth mode. But about 10 years ago, Mohammed, I started a real estate networking group in San Francisco area, and that group has now grown into the largest networking group in the Bay Area. So I have 5,000 members. It's called Bay Area Real Estate Moguls, and we meet 3 times a month, and we bring in speakers, and we have events, we have networking events, we have educational events. But Mohammed, that group has become by far the largest real estate meetup group in San Francisco Bay Area. So 10 years in the making. And so we provide education, training, and all that. But yeah, but now everything, because of the pandemic, everything is online. So everything is online now.
Because of the COVID thing, so everything is online. When you have the meetup, how many people usually join you on Zoom or something?
Yeah. Very good question. So before the pandemic, I was getting about 80 to 160 people showing up to each event.
Yep.
Now I'm getting about 50 to 60 people, but I'm doing more events because
Yeah.
it's now online.
Yeah.
I can do more events, and
Yeah.
I'm getting a bigger reach. Just like you're seeing in your business, people are reaching out to you from all over the United States, all over Asia. So I'm getting people joining from everywhere. So
Okay, wonderful. So, Bobby, based on your real estate experience, what are the top three success secrets you have in your real estate so that way we can kind of grab from you and model your success?
absolutely, the number one thing that helped me was my network. So I was a big believer in building a network, a network of really smart people, smart people with high level of ethical standards and integrity. And so networking is number one. Your network is very important. The second thing I would say, Mohammed, is just taking action. A lot of us, we are kind of watching from the sidelines, but we never really do much with it, right? But you really have to take action. You have to get your hands dirty, right? So that's number. Always educate yourself. Educate. The education never stops, right? So there are new strategies now because of COVID. There's new strategies for investing. So the idea is that you should be able to, adapt, and then that comes from education. But those are the three things that I would say, Mohammed, are very important to me.
Cool. Cool. So can you share with us any your case study of any real estate deal which you kind of really proud of and you made the most from that deal because it's like a deal of the decade, what you like to share with us? So we all have something, you know.
Yeah, no, I can tell you several, but I'll share with you my first one, which was, I was an immigrant to this country. I came here when I was 18 and a half, went to college, not far from Atlanta in Mobile, Alabama. So not, it's the next state over from
Yeah,
Georgia.
yeah, only few hours.
Um, yeah, so I was a computer science student, and believe it or not, we had Indians and Pakistanis and all kinds of people in the college, and some of my roommates were from Pakistan. So I've lived with Pakistani roommates and their amazing food. you know, uh, they were great cooks, but when I was 24, I was waiting for my green card. I was in it's at that time, if you recall, you had to go through labor and everything. So it was a lot harder than it is now. But my attorney said, "Look, you're going to be stuck with this company for 4 or 5 years." So the first house I bought was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in Riverside, California. And what I did was, I went to the agent and I said, "Hey, am I allowed to buy a house? I don't have a green card yet." And she goes, "Let me check." She goes, "I don't see why not." So I bought a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, but I put an ad in the paper, and I got 2 roommates. Right, I was single. I got 2 great roommates. One was a plumber. The other one was an X-ray technician. And the 2 rents that I collected, they helped me pay for my mortgage. Right, so I was kind of living for free. So that's when I got hooked on real estate. It's called house hacking now, but back then there was no term for it. But it's called house hacking. But the last deal, where we bought 117 doors in an apartment building in Minneapolis, we just bought that one. That was a good deal. I bought that with a couple of friends, and we raised money through my meetup network, through my friends. And we bought about a $10 million apartment building, and then that snowballed into other apartment buildings. And now, Mohammed, as you probably pay attention to the news, the hotels are now distressed. So we're actually putting a fund together to buy some hotels, because we think eventually they'll come back, right? But now they're distressed. So those are the things that we're working on.
No, this is great. So, what's like a rate of return ROI on investment? Like a 10%, 20%, not a fixed, but just a range. What you look for? What's a good deal definition for you?
Yeah, for me and for my investors, if it's not going to give me 10% annually, it's not worth it for me to even look at it. So what we do is, on things like an apartment, on like this hotel deal that we're looking at. The first year is a little tricky because you got a bunch of expenses the first year. So the first year is a little harder. The second year, things tend to be more efficient, more streamlined. You've figured out your vacancy rates, your expenses have gone down. So, but we target minimum, what we call internal rate of return, around 15 to 20% annualized internal rate of return. That's what we target. If the deal can produce, even with the most conservative underwriting, between 15 to 20%, we're going to be okay.
Oh, that's good. Now I know exactly where you focus on. So people who are watching this now or recorded later, they can, if that's within their sweet spot, I'm sure they will contact bettercapital.us. So, uh, Bobby, we all have the successes and we have the failures in our life. That's failures gives us the lesson. So, what is the single most real estate failure you had in your life? What
Yeah.
did you learn from it, and how did you recover from that?
Yeah, very, very. Yeah, I always, it's easy to focus on the successes, right? It's very easy to kind of talk about the success, but it's the failures that really that teach us, to maybe not make those mistakes again. By far, my biggest failure was uh, many years ago. I had an amazing opportunity to pick up some real estate assets at amazing discounts. But the problem was that unfortunately connected with the wrong partner.
Yeah,
So selecting your partner, it's kind of like your marriage, right?
yeah,
You maybe it's not as difficult as a marriage because with a partner, if the deal doesn't go well, you can separate out. Of course, marriage is a little bit more complicated, but it is kind of like a marriage because you're in it together. You need to know the personalities and so on. So we had an opportunity to just pick up some amazing assets at deep, 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 unbelievable discounts. But because the partnership we weren't aligned on the opportunity. It just didn't go anywhere. But later on, like a couple of years later, I ran into a team that was very well organized, that they had a lot of good chemistry, and I was able to see, that they were very successful with the same model that I was trying. So it wasn't that the model was bad, it wasn't that the geographical area was bad, it was just that the partnership was bad. So be careful about who you get into partnerships with.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
So, Bobby, you shared that you're working with like a multi-family thing. That's like 110 doors or something. And so what we are working on, I am partnered with the billionaire, in fact, based in Vegas, and we are in a private, safe city because safety is very important these days. Almost it will be a completely private city, and investors are going to make a couple of thousand%. 150%, 100%. Real estate projects. So, if you like and if you open, I can connect you to billionaire where he can share with you, and if you feel comfortable, you can share with the group. Or
Absolutely. Absolutely.
participate in
Absolutely.
a new concept, how the billionaires think is a little bit different.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So as we are about to wrap up, what would you say as a final word?
The final word is look, understand your markets, understand the opportunities, understand the risk of what you're investing in. But more importantly, start early. Um, invest, but start early. And real estate is it's a long game. If you look at the real estate values, whether it's in Pakistan or India or USA or any country, right? Real estate over time, the values just go up, right? But in between, there'll be some dips, there'll be some corrections along the way. But if you have a long horizon, you're going to be just fine.
No, very well said. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, for Bobby Sharma, the founder
Thank
and
you.
CEO of bettercapital.us, sharing your wisdom with us today on the behalf of a growth hacking show and our entire community. We really appreciate you. And with this, we're signing off from Atlanta, Georgia, and all good wishes.
Thank you, Mohammed.